through these pre-season videos, hyping up shows that I think my main audience, which is you, would probably enjoy. Some are easy picks for those lists, while others I judge based on the premise or what I know of the source material. Now, looking back at this season though, I realized that there's been some really good stuff that I missed out on when I went through the seasonal list at first glance. So this is what this video's for. Now that we have most of the season in the books, it's pretty interesting to go back and look at the pre-season video to compare the listed shows. There have been some big hits and some big misses for sure. So today, we'll be going over what I think ended up being the season's top 10 anime. I won't be including remakes or sequels though, so you won't be seeing stuff like Shaman King in there. But before we begin, I'd like to encourage you to give the video a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so that you can be first in the line next time I upload a video. Done? Okay, right, let's get on with the list. We start off with romcom or samake. Admittedly, this show is something that I overlooked a bit during the pre-season. However, the voice actor list got me, featuring some of my favorite names in the industry who are ironically all close friends who've worked together immensely. They've been through a lot, kinda like the characters in the actual show. With a title that outright says the childhood friend won't lose, the show feels like some kind of self-aware rom-com. It ends up being some sort of revenge story rom-com that I don't think that we see that often. The premise is really good, and I think that the characters all have chemistry with one another, either because of the writing or the execution, since the voices behind the characters have so much chemistry already. I really dig the cutesy art style and the color palettes in this one. It's just perfect for a show like this, and I feel that it helped make the show a lot more entertaining than it seemed at first. The show won't blow anyone's minds, but it's a decent pickup for the season, especially if you're one who likes rom-coms. Ninth on the list is Combatants Will Be Dispatched.
しょうもない。そこまで言うのなら本気の呪いを見せてあげる。偉大なるゼノリス様、この彼氏持ちに災いよ。タンスの角に足をぶつけた激痛を味わうがいい。
Okay, so listen to this. You've got an obnoxious protagonist who looks like he's had enough of life on an adventure. Besides the straight-laced blonde girl he's with, our protagonist is joined by an ambitious captain of the guard, a dark mage, and a chimera with Chinibyo tendencies. If it sounds like some sort of Konosuba love child, you're absolutely correct, as it's from the same creator. From an anecdotal standpoint, it seems that when it comes to fantasy, the same core of archetypes and personalities to form that specific 4 or 5 person party has proven to work excellently. I mean, you do see shades of it in the core cast of Ari Fioretta. Princess Connect had something resembling it too. They all differ in execution, and for Combatants Will Be Dispatched, that comes in the form of some tactical warfare gimmicks and a heavy focus on lewd comedy. If you're up for something like Konosuba and want more of the laughs and the degeneracy from it, Combatants should be part of your watch list, no question.
悪行ポイントが加算されます。
At number 8, we take a look at Shadow's House. Shadow's House is an interesting show. Before the season started, I praised its overall ambiance and its Victorian-era backdrop. I felt that we're due for another creepy gothic anime, and so far, I think that my expectations for Shadow's House have been met. The mysteries are great, and I had my ample fill of suspense from this anime, and while I wouldn't put Shadow's House as anime of the season candidate, I think that Cloverworks has done an overall excellent job in bringing the series to life. Seriously, it just does such a good job at captivating the audience with those eerie supernatural elements in the overall cinematography. You get drawn into the mystery of the Shadow's house, and like a spectre, the anime just doesn't let you go once it's in your grasp. I can't wait to see more with each passing episode, and as more questions appear with every one that gets answered. If you're like me and are looking for something chilly and mysterious, this season has this great anime for you. みんな、必ずお披露目を乗り越えて、また会おう! Seventh in line is Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. It's a show that I braced myself for early on in the season, but surprisingly, the reception towards Nagatoro has been pretty tame. I admit that seeing Nagatoro's smug face for the first few episodes was quite addictive, and I think that in terms of the production side of things, the show is serviceable. The acting's great, and I think that the art is just right for a show like this. I can't help but feel sorry for the poor guy though. The show's been getting a steady increase in its fan base through the anime adaptation, and I think that a lot of it has to do with the characters and their antics. We've seen the bullying turning into romance thing before, still, I don't think that makes it a bad show. If you're looking for a rom-com with that premise, Nagatoro should suffice in giving you your fill for the season. Number 6 on the list is Higahiro.
家事もできるし愛想もいい。なのになんで家出してはるばる東京まで来ちまったんだろうな。
Here's another winner that I admittedly overlooked before the season started. I mean, I figured that the premise might not be everyone's cup of tea, but after watching the first few eps and reading some of the source material, I'd say that Higahiro is one of the best romances that we have this season. I'd also say that you should give the show a chance because when you do, it does shine in a lot of ways. It seems the past few years, the parent-child dynamic in anime has been gaining some momentum. Despite the premise possibly setting off some red flags, I don't find anything too questionable about the series. Yep, there's some minor fan service in there, but come on. Are we still piling about fan service in anime in this day and age? Especially when things like Eromanga Sensei exist and make whatever fan service in Higahiro seem like child's play. To be completely honest, Higahiro is a very wholesome series filled with dramatic moments about relationships and taking responsibilities. Higahiro reminds me of those self-help shows like Tomozaki or Oregairu, and if you want something like that but with a parental relationship element, Higahiro is the show for you. Next in line is Eden Zero. For all the memes and jokes made about Mashima's character design decisions and such, Eden Zero has proved to be a pretty cool show that deserves to be one of the top anime of the season. It's still early, but it's providing ample entertainment for me, especially as a fan of fairy tale. I'd have the fairy tale comparisons to end with that statement because I feel that Eden Zero deserves to stand on its own as a quirky, fun adventure. With how hit or miss the studio's been the past few years, JC staff has done a pretty good job at adapting the series. I didn't notice some index tier rushing or One Punch Man 2-tier animation. I'd say that Eden Zero is not exactly the most unique anime out there, but it doesn't need to be. The tropes are there, the usual Mashima hero things are there, the shonen cliches are there, but are they automatically bad? I'd say no, especially if you can put them on a light-hearted and easygoing adventure like this one. Eden Zero knows what it is, and it instead focuses its efforts on giving the fans of the genre exactly what they want. From a personal perspective, 86 is one of my most anticipated shows before the start of the season. It felt like a breath of fresh air for action light novels. Casual watchers would probably be hooked by mandatory waifu character Lina, the edgy feel that the trailer exudes, or the mecha and military elements. It seemed to be a renaissance of the mecha genre in the modern era. Does 86 manage to revive mecha into the mainstream? Well, not really. However, what it does provide is an excellent story that I feel perfectly fits the current state of the times. I don't really want to go too political, but when looking at the content of 86, it does have those undertones hidden underneath the gripping story of hardship and perseverance. It has a lot to do with the status quo and the class differences between citizens, some racial conflict, and some surprisingly deep ideas about military might in what at first glance could look like a seasonal popcorn flick. That's not even mentioning an amazing soundtrack presented by the legendary Hiroyuki Sawano. 86 is a winner for the season, and you should definitely check it out. When the season started, I honestly didn't know what to expect from Vivi. It looked appealing enough, and I wanted to watch sci-fi, and it's done by the guys who gave us Re:Zero, but expectations were rather tempered when I look back. Well, it turns out that what we have here is a strong candidate for anime of the season. Just like 86 before it, I feel that Vivi has a bevy of strong themes, mostly to do with morals, politics, and the fight against fate. However, we all know casual watchers typically aren't immediately drawn to a series through those themes, right? So for that, Vivi has its spectacular visuals, amazing soundtrack, and a fast-paced execution of the story. It's very eye-catching to say the least, even having one of my favorite anime fights that feature female characters, and there's more on that on the other video that I'll be linking. Overall, I'd say that this anime is amazing. If you like sci-fi anime that's action-packed and way more than just your usual popcorn flick, give Vivi a shot. I know you're going to enjoy it. Number 2 for our list is To Your Eternity. Now, here's a show that was a no-brainer for inclusion to the pre-season list. It seems that everyone's hyped for the show, and what do you know? It didn't disappoint one bit. It's beautiful in so many ways. First, it's the art and the presentation. Second is how immersive and gripping of a journey it is from start to end. It's one of those shows that I like to call anime aspiring to become art, just like the feature-length films and stuff like Violet Evergarden. To Your Eternity succeeds in following the footsteps of those anime in evoking strong emotions and giving us an intricate look at the human experience. Feelings like joy, pain, sadness, and all the other things that make humanity what it is are well presented in this title, and it's a show that takes you along for the roller coaster of emotions. Now, I wouldn't say the show is flawless by the mere concept of my belief that there's nothing perfect. However, it does come very close to being one of those cinematic anime that people will eventually look back on with high regard. A unique premise done well in such a beautiful way is a recipe for anime of the season or even the year candidate. However, it somehow still doesn't make it to the first place. I feel that To Your Eternity is super narrowly edged out by my pick for this season, Tokyo Revengers. Erased, Steins Gate, and ReZero fans rejoice. You found your successor in the whole time travel genre, and it ended up being just as great as those titles, context considered. Prior to the season, I had high hopes for Tokyo Revengers. There we have it, my top 10 picks for spring 2021. Do you agree with my picks or not? Share your thoughts in the comment section. If you ended up enjoying the video and the recommendations, you may want to check out some perks that ViniiTube offers. I set some exclusive videos for the channel that you can access through channel memberships. If you're up for some specific titles such as ReZero or Sword Art Online, you can head over and get some memberships for you and your friends. Speaking of those titles, videos on those are also available on my other channel, ViniiTube Kai. It's a channel that deals more with video essays and analysis videos, so if you fancy that sort of content, head on over there through the link that I'll be dropping. That's it for today. Hope you had fun. Till next time.